how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
You know who was ranting on social media that no one wants to see that on his inauguration day? Sir, this was one of our presidents.
If you ever ran for president, you'd win. This is Whoopi Goldberg. You don't hear that? She said, I'm making a movie. Would you be in it? I said, in what capacity? Just a walk-on. You're so great. Would you do it? I did a walk-on for Whoopi Goldberg. Now she says, I refuse to mention his name. You know what? Politics can do strange things to demented people.
The showdown between Whoopi Goldberg and Karoline Leavitt is far from settled, and Whoopi just added fuel to the fire with a move that sent the White House press secretary into a full-blown rage. If you're familiar with Leavitt, you know she doesn't hold back. And this time, she came out swinging, leaving Goldberg scorched to the point of being nearly unrecognizable. So what exactly did Whoopi do to push Leavitt over the edge? And just how savage was the press secretary's response? Plus, we've got reactions from Bill Maher, Joe Rogan, and Megyn Kelly. You won't want to miss this one. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. There's a lot to cover, so let's skip the small talk and dive straight in. Whoopi Goldberg has seemingly made it her life's mission to dodge President Trump's name like it's a curse that'll turn her into dust. No matter how heated the discussion gets on The View, she tiptoes around, mentioning the leader of the free world, opting for vague, cryptic phrases instead. But in a moment of pure irony, and perhaps out of sheer muscle memory, Whoopi slipped up during a live broadcast and uttered the very name she promised never to say. And that's when all hell broke loose. The moment Trump escaped her lips, Whoopi recoiled in shock, as though she had just summoned a demon from the depths of hell. In a move so quintessentially Whoopi, it almost hurts, she spat on the floor immediately after, as if she needed to physically cleanse herself from the very act of acknowledging the sitting president of the United States. It was a meltdown for the history books, and believe me, you have to see it to truly grasp the chaos.
Listen, take him seriously and take him literally.
I don't think that we have to. I think it would be remiss of us to not say Joe Biden knows how to do this.
Yes,
he knows how to do this. He's quite good at this, and you know you can't refute anything with him because he just. When I say him, I mean
he rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just.
But can I mention one thing?
Whoopi's revolting display sparked immediate outrage, with backlash pouring in from every direction as people slammed her shameless behavior. Critics called it a new low, accusing her of disrespecting not just the president, but the office itself. One person wrote, "Whoopi spitting is disgraceful, and so is the gang that laughs about it. Cancel this leftist propaganda show now." Another commenter chimed in, "I do the same thing when I see her come across my news feed." Some saw it as a direct slap in the face of all Americans, writing, "Literally, she spat on the face of Trump supporters. What is that, half the American people?" And of course, one person who was absolutely livid about Whoopi's stunt was none other than Karoline Leavitt. The White House press secretary was furious and didn't hold back one bit.
Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th, when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality.
I've got to give credit where it's due. Karoline Leavitt knows how to roast. And this time, she didn't just clap back at Whoopi Goldberg, she utterly obliterated her. You heard how she dug into the biggest disgrace of Whoopi's career. This wasn't a casual jab, it was surgical precision.
Leavitt made it crystal clear that Whoopi's antics don't even register. Because, at the end of the day, the American people have already made up their minds, and they're backing Trump. They proved it at the ballot box, giving him a massive vote despite the constant barrage of propaganda from the mainstream media and Hollywood elites. Then, in a savage move, she turned her fire on The View itself, reminding them that their influence is as dead as their credibility. They don't shape public opinion, they don't sway elections, and most importantly, they're completely out of touch with reality. Leavitt didn't just debunk their delusions, she demolished them. And of course, Trump also weighed in on the conversation, landing a devastating blow that sent Whoopi crashing to the ground.
I watched that stupid View where you have these really dumb people. You know, Whoopi Goldberg said, would you participate in a movie? She made some movie on basketball. This was before I ran for politics. She said, oh, you're so great. If you ever ran for president, you'd win. This is Whoopi Goldberg. You don't hear that? She said, I'm making a movie. Would you be in it? I said, in what capacity? Just a walk-on. You're so great. Would you do I did a walk-on for Whoopi Goldberg. Now she says, I refuse to mention his name. You know what? Politics can do strange things to demented people.
Whoa! Now that's a serious punch, President Trump. Yeah, Whoopi definitely deserves to be called out for her antics. But do you think he took it a step too far? Or was it exactly what she had coming? Drop your thoughts in the comments. But beyond the insults, Trump actually raised some pretty solid points. Let's rewind to 1996. That's when Whoopi produced Eddie, a massive box office disaster that critics tore apart. And guess who made an appearance in that film? None other than Donald J. Trump. Here's where it gets spicy. It turns out Whoopi didn't just ask Trump to be in the movie. She practically begged him. And get this, she even told him he should run for president because she thought he'd make an excellent leader. Fast forward to today, and now she can't even say his name without spitting on the floor. The hypocrisy here is next level. Anyway, let's roll the clip.
No, I've hired Whoopi to work for me as a comedian before this stuff, and a long time ago. And I went. And, you know, I'm not particularly shy about what I hear. Her mouth was so foul. Every word out of her mouth was like the F word, this. I was with a group of people, like sort of nice people, and we had to leave. She was so filthy dirty, disgusting. Half the place left. I said I'd never hire her again.
So Whoopi was once a Trump employee doing comedy, no less. Well, that explains a lot about why her comedy career never really took off. Let's be real. She was never known for her wit, but more for her shock value. If you've seen any of her old material, you know exactly what I mean. Honestly, it's not shocking in the least that she'd pull something as vile as spitting on live TV. That's just Whoopi being Whoopi. She's got a long history of wallowing in the mud and loving every minute of it. And honestly, this kind of unhinged performative outrage is the perfect example of what the woke mob is all about. They don't debate, they don't argue facts, they just throw tantrums. Think about it. Whoopi once admired Trump. She practically begged him to be in her movie and even told him he'd make a great president. But now, she acts like even saying his name is beneath her. The hypocrisy is so thick you could slice it with a knife. This is exactly why people are fed up with Hollywood elites. They flip-flop depending on what's trendy in their little echo chamber. They claim to be for the people, but really, they're just performing for each other. They use violent language and appalling actions, but then cry foul when their opponents respond in kind. Karoline Leavitt was quick to remind them of that.
If you heard that type of violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're talking about. Because President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts of this federal government and ensure it's accountable to American taxpayers.
Yep, Leavitt made it crystal clear. President Trump isn't here to mess around, and he sure as hell isn't letting his opponents sidetrack him. He's got a mandate from the American people, and he's already hard at work cleaning house, so he's not losing sleep over the likes of Whoopi, who are way too focused on pandering to the woke crowd. One of his first moves, restoring some sanity by banning biological men from women's sports and locker rooms because that should never have even been up for debate. He's also swinging the axe at wasteful government spending, cutting out useless programs that do nothing but drain taxpayers' wallets. But here's the bigger picture. Trump knows that America can't help others if it's falling apart from the inside. A strong nation isn't just about military might. It's about a stable economy, solid moral values, and fiscal responsibility. That means putting Americans first, securing the borders, revitalizing the job market, and ensuring the country remains a beacon of strength, not a punchline for the global elite. And that's exactly why his opponents are shaking in their boots. Because when Trump is focused, he gets results. But hold on, was Whoopi really pushing for Americans to vote for a former federal prosecutor who can barely string a sentence together? Someone who's basically the walking, talking embodiment of word salad. You remember this moment, right? I mean, Kamala Harris can talk and talk for hours without actually saying a damn thing. It's like watching a wind-up doll stuck on repeat. Every sentence is a tangled mess of word salad packed with circular reasoning, awkward pauses, and the occasional cackling to distract from the fact that she has no clue what she's saying. And even when she does manage to string together something that's sort of meaningful, it's the same tired, recycled rhetoric we've all heard a million times. It's hollow, it's scripted, and it's meant to sound profound while saying nothing. It's the political equivalent of elevator music, just droning on in the background, filling space, but leaving zero impact. Meanwhile, when Trump or Leavitt speak, you know exactly where they stand. No fluff, no filler, just straight-up action. That's why people respect them, even if they don't always agree, because at least they stand for something. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, stands for whatever suits the moment, and that's exactly why nobody takes her seriously. But here's the real kicker. The mainstream media is fully complicit in the Kamala Harris charade. They know she has nothing solid to say, so they cut, edit, and polish her speeches just to make her sound even remotely coherent. Just a few days ago, the FCC had to force CBS to release the full interview Kamala gave on 60 Minutes, and let me tell you, it was brutal. Go ahead and take a look for yourself.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Even with the full support of the mainstream media, Kamala Harris still couldn't get her message across. No matter how many edits, glowing headlines, or softball interviews they threw her way, she just couldn't connect with the American people because she came off as completely fake. Every speech felt forced. Every statement sounded scripted. And when she went off script, it was a complete disaster. Let's not forget, her policies didn't resonate with voters either. It wasn't just her awkward delivery that turned people off. It was the fact that she stood for nothing while pushing ideas no one wanted. And this is the woman Whoopi Goldberg wanted as president. The reason she spits at the mention of Trump's name. No wonder Karoline Leavitt called her completely out of touch with reality. At this point, Whoopi isn't just wrong, she's delusional. It's almost laughable how out of touch these Hollywood elites have become. They prop up failing politicians, push unpopular policies, and then act shocked when the American people reject them. Maybe that's why they hate Trump so much, because no amount of media spin can change the fact that he actually connects with voters. And when they realize Trump is untouchable, they shift their focus to his subordinates, in this case, Karoline Leavitt.
Karoline Leavitt is the press secretary at the White House, doing a great job. Such a great job that the ladies of The View feel the green monster coming upon them. They really don't like this woman. She's a good communicator. And so Joy Behar just offered her analysis on why Leavitt was picked for the role.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
But despite the constant attacks from Whoopi Goldberg and The View, Karoline Leavitt has remained totally unshaken. She's not backing down, not playing the victim, and definitely not letting Hollywood elites tell her how to do her job. Instead, she's kept her focus squarely on what truly matters: honesty, transparency, and accountability. And that's exactly why she's winning over Americans all across the country. Unlike her predecessor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who often stumbled through press briefings, dodged tough questions, and had a hard time connecting with the public, Leavitt has been clear, confident, and unapologetic. People respect leaders who stand firm, who don't rely on scripted talking points, but instead speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable for the mainstream media. And that's what really scares the left. They don't just dislike Leavitt, they fear her. Because, unlike the usual spineless bureaucrats they're used to, she fights back, and she's winning. Someone once did a side-by-side comparison of Karine Jean-Pierre and Karoline Leavitt's first day on the job, and the difference was striking.
I am obviously acutely aware that my presence at this podium represents a few firsts. I am a Black, gay, immigrant woman, the first of all three of those to hold this position.
How are we? Good to see all of you. It's an honor to be here with all of you. A lot of familiar faces in the room, a lot of new faces. And President Trump is back, and the golden age of America has most definitely begun. The Senate has already confirmed 5 of President Trump's exceptional cabinet nominees.
Leavitt is sharp, composed, and all business. No performative virtue signaling, no identity politics, and definitely no unnecessary personal anecdotes, because none of that matters when you're on the job. She stepped up to the podium, delivered the facts, and handled the press with both grace and confidence, unlike her predecessor, who spent more time dodging questions than actually answering them. Leavitt took every question head-on. No awkward stumbles, no scripted deflections, just clear, direct, and concise responses that probably had Kamala Harris taking notes. She's not there to pander, she's there to lead. And that's exactly why she's earning the respect of Americans who are fed up with weak, performative leadership. What's even more impressive is how Leavitt handles the constant hostility from the media without breaking a sweat. She doesn't flinch, she doesn't lash out, she simply dismantles loaded questions with cold, hard facts. It's the kind of composure that makes her critics look desperate and her supporters feel empowered. With every press briefing, she's showing that competence will always beat political theatrics. If this is the future of conservative leadership, the left has every reason to be nervous. A lot of people can't stand Whoopi Goldberg and The View, and Joe Rogan is definitely one of them.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies-infested henhouse.
Exactly. The ladies on The View have perfected the art of making bizarre, out-of-touch comments that no one outside their elitist bubble can relate to. They talk like they represent all women, yet their opinions are so disconnected from reality that even their own audience sometimes cringes. Let's not forget, they've had their fair share of controversies. Time and time again, they've made reckless statements that have gotten them into serious hot water. Some have faced lawsuits, while others have been forced to read those cringe-worthy legal notes live on air. Basically, corporate-mandated apologies for spreading misinformation. But do they learn from it? Of course not. They double down, play the victim, and act surprised when people call them out. Maybe that's why their ratings keep plummeting. The View isn't about real conversations anymore. It's just elite groupthink wrapped in the guise of daytime television.
Whoopi Goldberg was angry when Alyssa pointed out that Trump went to the funeral of Officer Diller.
Yes.
On Long Island, and Joe Biden went to a podcast. Look at Whoopi Goldberg's reaction.
Choose what you like there, but for Republicans, it was good imagery.
Really?
1 day later, yes.
And I'm asking that because I was so offended because you know who showed up.
Yeah.
And he was, whether he was asked or not. This
So he
is a
was
man
invited.
who didn't care what happened to the officers on January 6th.
What Megyn says next absolutely dismantles every point Whoopi tried to make. Honestly, it's just embarrassing at this point.
She promotes Joe Biden and Kamala Harris every day on that show. Trump wasn't supportive enough of the cops who were, yes, in danger on J 6th. How does that explain their behavior on a daily basis toward Harris, toward Biden, toward AOC, toward all of the left, including their own show, Sunny Hostin? The hypocrisy is rank.
Megyn Kelly hit the nail on the head. The hypocrisy on The View is downright nauseating. They'll bend over backward to defend Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, no matter how incompetent or disastrous their policies get. But the second Donald Trump's name is mentioned, it's instant outrage, exaggerated eye rolls, and wild rants. And that's exactly what sets Karoline Leavitt off. She's not just furious about their bias, she's calling out their blatant dishonesty. These women act like they're champions of democracy and free speech, but the moment anyone disagrees with their liberal groupthink, they demonize them. The real issue? They're not mad at Trump because he's dangerous. They're mad because he exposes their nonsense and they can't stand it. They claim to be all about women's empowerment, yet they tear down any woman who dares to hold a conservative view. The moment someone like Leavitt speaks up, they don't debate her arguments. They attack her character, dismissing her as too young or uninformed. It's the same tired playbook they've been running for years, and honestly, it's getting old. If they truly believed in strong, independent women, they'd be celebrating Leavitt's success. Instead, they fear it. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more stories, hit that like button and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And let me know on which topic you would like to see stories next. And check out these other videos. You might enjoy. See you in the next one. Till then, take care and goodbye.